Hello students, we're going to go over how to solve the problems in case you need to retake the quiz or you were curious why you got a certain question wrong. So first, I'm going to go over how to factorize these numbers. Let me use 1,716 as an example. I rewrite it, and I know it can be divided by 2. And the prime factors we need to check are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and 17. Because those are the ones I used for the quiz. So 1,716 divided by 2 equals 858. 858 can be divided by 2 because it ends in 8. So we have 2 times 429. 429 cannot be divided by 2, but it could be divided by 3. I just know that, but you could check on your calculator. You could experiment and try 7. 7 doesn't work. 13. 13 does work. And we're doing 3. Oh, 3 also works. I know 13 works, so I can divide 143 divided by 13, and I get 11. Then I write my answer as 2 squared, because there's 2 2's, times 3, times 11, times 13. For question 2, it asks, what will be the last digit when these expressions are evaluated? For multiplication, we only have to check the last numbers to find the last digit of the answer. 1 times 1 always equals 1. For addition, we just need to add the last 2 numbers. 3 plus 3 equals 6. But for division, we have to take into account the last 2 digits because both of these numbers can influence the answer. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So the answer is definitely going to end in 7. If you wrote 1, I understand why you wrote 1, or 9, or 5, or 3. But if you wrote 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, it wouldn't make any sense. Because 6 times 5, for example, is 30, and 30 ends in 0. For question 3, you needed to look at the pattern. The pattern was watermelon, vine. Watermelons grow on vines. Roses grow on bushes. Apples grow on trees. Grapes grow on vines. Rambutan grows on trees. And now we have to finish and say, where do peaches grow? Where do tomatoes grow? And where do tea leaves grow? Tea grows in a bush. But if you said any kind of plant, that's okay, because maybe you didn't have the vocabulary. Peach grows on a tree. But if you said any kind of plant, that's okay. Tomatoes grow on a vine. But any kind of plant is okay. Although I hope you know that tomatoes don't grow on trees. For question number 4, I need to simplify these expressions. And I need to use the rules. xm divided by xn equals xm over xn equals xm minus n. So using this rule, I just have to count. I count that A3 times A2 equals A5. So I start rewriting. B2 is B2. C times C negative 2 is C negative 1. 12 times 6 is 72. Now I've evaluated the top. On the bottom we have 3, no A's. We have B4 and we have C3. We subtract 4 from 2. We subtract 3 from negative 1. and we get 24, 72 divided by 3, and we get A5, B -2, and C -4. You can apply the same procedure down here. It's going to work very similarly. Oh, I made a mistake. I forgot to count this B. This means that this becomes B5, because B4 times B equals B5. And B2 divided by B5 equals B -3. For this question, you're going to use Desmos. So let me open my device and get Desmos open. I completely appreciate that it's difficult to type in on your phone, and it's probably the hardest step in this problem, is to type in the equation on your phone. Cx plus d. I add sliders for all. Now I type in the 3 points that I want it to go through. The first point is 0, -5. The next point is 1, 3. And the last point is -1, -7. And now all I have to do is play with the numbers until it matches up with the 3 points. Of course, it's simple for me because I already know the answer. But it may take you a while to experiment and get through all of the points. If you're not able to find all of the points, if you can pass through some of them, that would be pretty good as well. This is a pretty good job. It looks like it passes through the 3 points. Maybe not exactly, but close enough for what we're doing. So my answers turned out to be A4, B1.8, C0, and D -5. For question 7, we just need to remember the names of these features. The first feature is called a parabola. The second feature is a wave. The third feature is called a cusp, which is this little point right here. The fourth feature is a line, a straight line. And the fifth feature is a curve with horizontal asymptote. This means the curve gets closer and closer to the dotted line, but it will never actually touch it. That's why the dotted line has been placed there, to indicate that it's a limit for the curve. If you named it by the specific function, you might say that this one is x squared. This one is sine of x. This one is the cusp of absolute value of x. Line is just x. And this one could be ln of x, square root of x, or 1 over x. Question 8 asks us to draw a function, a piecewise function. which is a function that's been glued together from several pieces of other functions, beginning with a straight line, then continues as a wave, and then finally has a vertical asymptote. So I draw the asymptote first, and then I sink the wave into it without touching it. So we have to remember lines, waves, asymptotes. This one is vertical because it goes up and down. If the asymptote was horizontal, it would go across like this.